Frameshift drive charging. 4, 3, 2, 1, engage. Frameshift drive charging. System scan complete.
Galactic Mysteries, the NMLA. Private investigators Eric Gunnarsson and Francesca Wolf review the Neo-Marlinist Liberation Army. Gunnarsson: we don't usually get involved with political cases, but it's hard to ignore the largest terrorist attack in history. The NMLA is a radical offshoot of Marlinism, a democratic movement named after the Republic of Akana's original ruler, Marlin Deval. Most are peaceful protester types, but neo-Marlinists want to overthrow the government by permanently removing the imperial family. What nobody knows is how the NMLA went from minor troublemakers to interstellar terrorists. The starport bombings last September came from nowhere, and their assassins have killed many imperial bigwigs including Prince Harold Deval. Smart money was on them being funded by Empire's enemies, but now the NMLA treat the Alliance and Federation as equal targets. Hitting all three superpower capitals was a hugely symbolic gesture, and should have been impossible. How did they bypass security and plant explosives without detection? Who the hell are these people? Even Wallglass doesn't have a clue. But we won't stop searching. Wolf: despite my inquiries, and some unauthorized snooping, there's no trace of the rumored NMLA bomb factory in LTT 1935. But it did once exist, because the Empire captured its occupants. Not that they'll admit it. There is no such place as Serene Harbor, right? Well, I've been to RCRA Sector AFAD 423B and seen it myself. It's bleak. Hope-crushing. And yet the NMLA prisoners listed as Theta Group escaped, broken out by what seems like Imperial intelligence double agents. That genuinely scares me. If the NMLA can worm inside the most shadowy security organization in known space, they could be anywhere. And none of us are safe. New federal vice president selected. President Zachary Hudson has announced that the new vice president of the Federation is Jerome Archer, replacing the deceased Brad Mitchell. Archer was previously serving as the Secretary of Security. Prior to becoming a congressman, he was a director of the Federal Intelligence Agency and had a long career in law enforcement. His predecessor, VP Brad Mitchell, died in the NMLA bombing of Li Qingjiao Station in the Sol System. The attack also killed several members of the federal cabinet along with many government officials who were attending a meeting at the starport. Addressing a gathering of Congress, Vice President Archer said, "My primary focus in this office will be to increase security throughout the Federation. I vow to build vigilance into the fabric of our society and prevent such atrocities from ever happening again." During the congressional session, President Hudson announced new appointments for other deceased members of the cabinet. He also successfully obtained approval to increase funding for counter-terrorism operations run by ACT and the Federal Navy. ACT requests help to locate missing agent. Pilots Federation alert. Assistance is needed to track down an ACT operative who vanished while on a mission to identify NMLA suppliers. The missing agent is Captain Niam Sutonia of the Imperial Internal Security Service, one of the joint leaders of the Anti-NMLA Intelligence Unit. She was following up on clues resulting from analysis of the 9 Martyrs starport bombings. Senior Agent Tanya Ramirez, a co-leader of ACT, gave this statement. Captain Sutonia and her team were traveling on an Anaconda-class vessel named the Valkyrie. Mission details are scarce as information was compartmentalized for security, but she was investigating a minor faction that may be supplying the NMLA. We know that her ship left the Madrid system on the 24th of March, on a heading toward the Marlinist colonies. Captain Castile of the Marlinist Constabulary, on secondment to ACT, arranged a rendezvous that she never reached. So we know the Valkyrie went missing somewhere in between. All commanders in the region are asked to join the search for Captain Sutonia's ship. Our fervent hope is that we find its crew alive, and that they manage to obtain data to help us defeat the NMLA. Medicines delivered for starport. Jasmina Halsey becomes Federal Ambassador. Former President Jasmina Halsey has joined the Federal Diplomatic Corps to become an ambassador to the Alliance. In recent years, Halsey served as an advisor to Prime Minister Mahone, but returned to the Federation in January to stand as a witness in the Starship One trial. She was a guest of Shadow President Felicia Winters at the Galactic Summit, and both were evacuated back to Mars when it was cancelled. At a press conference, Ambassador Halsey said, "Being at the conference reminded me that the political arena is where I belong. My new responsibilities allow me to continue serving the Federation while making use of my experience within the Alliance, and hopefully build stronger bridges between the two." Elijah Beck, head of the Alliance Office of Diplomatic Relations, sent this message. Jasmina's level-headed advice has calmed many tense political situations. This is the ideal role for a diplomat of her caliber, and I look forward to working with her again. In related news, the Federal Diplomatic Corps confirmed that Ambassador Jordan Rochester had been recalled from duty to be reassigned. Most of the Empire and Federation's embassies in each other's space have been closed since November 3306.
Surface scan complete.
Demands for Empire to solve terrorist problem. The fear of further starport bombings has placed internal and external pressure on the Empire to address the threat posed by the NMLA. Despite sharing intelligence via ACT, the Alliance and Federation have demanded that the Empire must do more to eradicate the NMLA, since it is imperial in origin and ambition. The latest developments were covered by mainstream media channels. The Imperial Herald. In the Senate, Chancellor Anders Blaine reported that the Emperor has instructed him to present a range of options. Senator Lurkin Scordato has volunteered to visit the Marlinist colonies on a fact-finding mission to better understand the political character of the neo-Marlinist fringe. Eye on Akanar. The entire system is still shell-shocked by the slaughter at Door's hub, a vicious stab at the heart of our glorious empire. In our opinion poll, 93% of right-thinking citizens would send a fleet of Majestics to the murdering Marlinists instead of some soft-hearted senator. Vox Galactica. In most imperial cities and settlements, anxiety levels remain high. The NMLA's ability to strike seemingly anywhere has rocked public confidence in the Empire's strength. Opinions on Marlinism itself are more polarized than ever, with accusations of warmonger and collaborator dividing many families and relationships. Jasmina Halsey Federal Congress grants emergency surveillance powers. Vice President Jerome Archer has successfully proposed a new public surveillance law designed to prevent future terrorist attacks in the Federation. The Domestic Counter-Terrorism Act was debated in Congress before being approved by a majority vote. It is considered to be emergency legislation that replaces all previous laws regarding monitoring civilian activity and intercepting personal communications. Vice President Archer, who personally drafted much of the new statute, announced, "This will allow the government to actively seek out any terrorist agents and sympathizers lurking within our communities. We will never again allow so many families and friends to be taken from us." Shadow President Felicia Winters responded, "Nobody wants another 9 martyrs, and it's vital that security is increased across the Federation. But this is an outrageous violation of civil liberties. For this administration to grant itself access to every citizen's private life makes it resemble a dictatorial regime." VP Archer later confirmed that he is already working with the heads of security services on practical applications of the new law. As a former director of the Federal Intelligence Agency, he is expected to make rapid progress. Demands for Empire to solve terrorist problem. The fear of further starport bombings has placed internal and external
Surface scan complete. engaged.